Hey everyone, good morning and welcome to Morning Tea with me, Tracy V. Allen. How are you? Remember to like, share, and subscribe and comment below if you have any comments. This morning I have with me Jacqueline Smith. She is a multimedia strategist, right? And this is a perfect person for us to have on today. Why? Because whether you like it or not, multimedia is here to stay. And right now, because of COVID and social distancing, some of you have been forced to adapt, right? So it's right now, it's like adapt or sink or die. I don't want to say die, but you're either going to adapt or your business is going to cease to exist. So, Jacqueline, go ahead and introduce yourself to us.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so very much, Tracy, for having me. I appreciate it. I am Jacqueline J. Smith. I am a wife, a mother, a business owner, and as Tracy mentioned, a multimedia strategist, as well as an entrepreneur. We've got a number of businesses out there servicing any number of different communities in the world. And so we're just again, grateful to be here, grateful to be able to provide this information to you, and hopefully have you take something away that you can actually go out and use today to further your passion, your mission, and what it is that you want to provide to the world. Exercise your God-given greatness.
Yeah. Thank you. So, tell us who Jacqueline was prior to becoming the multimedia specialist. I mean, strategist.
Wow.
Sorry.
No worries. So for the majority of my career, I was actually in human resources.
Okay.
Spent a number of years in that particular career field
Mhm.
and servicing a number of different types of organizations. And primarily, when reflecting on it, primarily the organizations ended up being nonprofit organizations. But yeah, so absolutely love the field. Still, when I hear things in the news or when I hear people tell stories and things, I put my human resources hat on and kind of do that, mental internal
Mhm.
investigation and, how would I handle that particular
Right.
situation. So that's quite interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So, from human resources to entrepreneur, how did that journey happen? What propelled you into that area?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but the short version is my father was a serial entrepreneur. And I'm not even really not an entrepreneur, a serial dabbler. My
Mhm.
father was involved in anything and everything that came down the pike. I mean, if it sounded like a good idea, he hopped on it and he was in it. And but the interesting part about that is my dad was in the Navy. My parents divorced when I
Oh,
was young, and I didn't spend a whole lot of time with him, but I still ended up getting
I think some
get
things are in the DNA. I swear, it's in the DNA.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's really where the itch, if you will, started. And,
Mhm.
I mean, I've been in everything from the pink Cadillac people to water filters to telecommunications to 3 travel companies to health juice to probably some other stuff that I can't remember right now. But
So you
this
were a
particular
serial entrepreneur yourself.
yeah, well, yes, exactly. Well, and it's funny because I asked him one time, I was like, why are you in all of this stuff? Why don't you just pick one thing
One
and,
thing.
carry that out and see,
Mhm.
where that one thing takes you. He was like, well, but all of this other stuff is so good. Someone's going to need one of these things. And so I have
Mhm.
to be ready and available when they want that thing to have it for them. So that's similar to my story, but I've crafted it in a different way. So I do have a number of businesses in that particular arena, but I've crafted them to fit my business the way I want to service my constituents and service the world.
Okay, so you said a few things that I really want to piggyback on.
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, serial entrepreneurship and multi-level marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So when people start or decide that they want to make some extra money, because usually that's how it starts. You're
Right.
working and the bills are just barely getting paid, or you're
Mm-hmm.
robbing Peter to pay Paul,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Um, so someone comes up to you and they offer you this opportunity to make an extra $500 or $1,000 per month, and you're like, that can change my whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you
Right.
join it. So most people, I think, are joining it because they just need that extra money. It's not a connection really to the
Mm-hmm.
product or the
Mm-hmm.
service. It's
Yeah.
just, I need an extra $500. I need an extra $1,000. And this person makes it seem like it's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree? That's
Oh,
kind of how it happens and why people jump from multi-level marketing company to the next.
most definitely, which is
Okay.
exactly why I've been involved in so many companies that I have been. That was one of my points. I actually talked about on my podcast a couple of days ago.
Mhm,
It's the challenge is that, those things didn't resonate with me ultimately.
mhm,
I mean, they sounded, like you said, they sounded good at the time. It
mhm.
sounded like, okay, yeah, somebody needs that, or I could
Right.
probably find someone that needs that. But ultimately, since it didn't resonate with me, and when things weren't progressing as quickly as I thought they should or I needed them to,
Right.
and I was still expending funds that I
Yep.
needed to be bringing in, ultimately ended up falling by the wayside. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's it. And that's why I see a lot of other entrepreneurs frown their noses on, oh, what are you selling now? What are you selling now? I
Mm-hmm.
think people are trying to find their place in the entrepreneurship realm.
Yep.
And the easiest entry into entrepreneurship is multi-level marketing for most people because they
Exactly.
don't have to really take ownership
Mm-hmm.
of all aspects of being an entrepreneur. You don't
Right.
have to get the business plan done. You don't have to go register with the state, which you should, as depending on the company that you are working with. You really
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that you still take that company away from your personal assets. But
Right.
that's a talk for another day. But yeah, so I think this is the sounding board for a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
into getting into entrepreneurship without all of the responsibilities
Right.
that come with having your own company.
Yes, absolutely. And whatever company you decide to become involved with, again, you should do your due diligence. It's yes, again, it sounds wonderful. Yes, the money is out there because again, the Cadillac people are still making millionaires. So make no mistake about it.
I like how you call them the pink Cadillac
I
people.
don't I don't want to disparage any
I
company. It
know,
wasn't
I
for
know, I
me, so but I mean, but they're still making millionaires. There are still so many people that can be serviced with that particular product, and that's a wonderful thing. So,
right.
but again, you need to do your due diligence. Are you someone that wears makeup? Are you someone that uses that particular type of product? Is it something you're going to use in your life on a daily basis, on a regular basis? And if it's not, you might want to look at, a
Something else.
different type of, exactly, something else. But one of the other things that I'll say about network marketing is, because depending upon the entry, how much it costs to enter that particular company, if something doesn't work for you ultimately, don't look at it as something that you failed at. But also don't be afraid to fail. But don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as a learning opportunity. That particular thing didn't work for me. There's something else out there that will, and it's your responsibility to find it if that's ultimately a goal that you want to achieve in earning that extra income.
Right. And you said something else. I can't remember what it was when you were talking before that I wanted to hit on as well. It was about entrepreneurship, but let's move on. I'll probably remember it somewhere down the line. Okay,
Absolutely.
so how did you end up in multimedia?
Well, uh,
There
one
seems to
of
be a big story behind everything.
I know. Yeah. So, I had what probably almost 2 years now.
Mhm,
Had been hearing, you need to write a book, you need to write a book, you need to write a book, you've got something in you, you need to write a book. So I had gone on to a webinar
mhm,
online, and this person was talking about uh, book writing and how you could write your book in 9 months and then
mhm,
get it published, et cetera, et cetera.
mhm,
Well, at the end of the webinar, there was a phone call, and what is that going to take in order to make that happen? And at the time, this particular organization wanted $15,000 in order to help me write and publish my book. And I said, well, that's not working for me right now.
mhm,
So it just so happened another person in my community was offering a similar class. And it really wasn't similar because this class was write, publish, and promote your book in 16 weeks. And I was like, oh, okay, I could definitely do that.
mhm,
So got involved in that and ended up, and I wrote a book. I became an author in November of 2018.
okay.
So from writing the book, the book, and I'm also doing another talk next week about this, but then it went beyond the book.
Mhm.
So the book turned into a radio show. The
Oh,
radio
wow.
show, the radio show ended up turning into a radio station and a television station.
Bye.
And from there, but again, it goes back to, if something doesn't work, move
Try
forward.
something
the
else.
the
Yeah.
the radio station and the television station didn't work, okay, no problem. Then we transitioned into podcasting.
Mhm.
So now not only are we doing podcasting, but we are podcast producers, where we produce podcasts for other podcasters to get
Nice.
their message and their information out there. So it's an evolution, it's a learning experience, it's trial and error.
Mhm.
It's keep moving and keep moving, keep going until something happens, something sticks that
Mhm.
you can be successful with and move forward with.
All right. So let's talk a little bit more about that, because I know that there are a lot of authors. Everybody's an author. You're an
Hmm.
author, I'm an author, everybody's an author, right?
Right.
But there's a difference between writing a book and
Hmm.
truly becoming an author. I think authorship is about being able to make a living from what you have authored. Not just I
Hmm.
have, oh, I have a book, but
Right.
you only sold 5 copies. Is that true?
Exactly.
Is that truly being an author? Because I think when you put that title, you can say I wrote a book, but can you
Hmm.
really say I'm an author if you've only sold 5 copies? Now, if you've sold thousands of copies and you've made thousands of dollars, I can say yes, you're a true author. At least that's my opinion. Don't come get me, guys. Um, right?
Well, and I have a differing opinion. If you've
Mhm,
written a book, it's got a cover, it's got an
mhm.
ISBN number,
Remember.
and it's published, you're an author.
Okay.
And and again, so that particular book could take on many forms. I saw a quote not too long ago that said, if cauliflower can be pizza, you too can be anything you want. Your
Mhm.
book can be anything
Well,
you
that's
want
where
it
I'm
to be.
going with that. Yeah. So most people I know, they write a book and that's it, just to say that they're an author. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm kind of going with what I'm about to say, is
Okay.
that if you write it and it just sits there, it's not selling, it's not impacting anybody. Are you
Right.
truly an author? Because to me, to be an author is to take that one thing and
Mm.
make it into many things.
Yes.
It's, you
Okay.
wrote it for a reason. The first reason you wrote it was because you had a story to tell. And
Mm-hmm.
that story is supposed to impact somebody else, or many people, change the lives, help them to think of things in a different light. And then you
Exactly.
should be able to take that one thing and then make it your sounding board for many other things, just like you did. So what
Absolutely.
would you tell people about who want to be authors, true authors, and actually make money from the craft? How did you, if you don't mind giving a little bit more details about how you were able to take that one book that was,
Mm-hmm.
sitting on your heart, you felt compelled to write it, and make it into this multimedia empire?
Absolutely. Thank you. And so I do agree with
Mhm.
with that part. So again, it's not something that you just want sitting in your garage, sitting in
Right.
your living room, not doing anything. So
Mhm.
again, from there, the book, like I said, through networking and talking to different people, and then different people asking for help with authoring and publishing their particular books, that ended up turning into the radio show. And
Okay.
similar title, different direction, if you will. But again, so the book turned into a radio
What
show.
is the name
But
of the
even
book?
the name of the book is
Do you have it with
you
you?
you have the power. Turn your knowledge into a lucrative HR consulting practice. So
Ah,
those that, again, my background is in
you-
human resources.
HR. Yeah.
Exactly. So those that may have found themselves displaced, may not be satisfied or fulfilled in their job. What knowledge do you have based on that career that you could take and do something else with? You could craft your own company. Why are you beholden to your employer to hand you a job? Create your own.
Yeah.
That's really the bottom line for the book. So again, from there, that
Mhm.
not only the radio show came from that, but again, courses and classes and webinars teaching other, not only human resources professionals, but other professionals that have a significant body of knowledge in their particular area to go out and craft their own career based on the
Right.
knowledge that they already have.
In their
So
own
yeah, so
lane. Yeah.
right, exactly. Create your own lane, definitely.
Mhm.
So
And
classes,
I love
web
it.
webinars, individual
That's
individual
okay. It happens.
individual consultation and coaching on, okay, what does that look like for me in terms of my background, in terms of my experience, and what direction would I feel most comfortable with, what direction would be potentially most profitable for me. Even an audiobook, taking your book and putting on an audiobook for those that may be hearing impaired, those that maybe just want to listen to it while they're driving to and from wherever, while they're stuck in traffic, etc. So again, that book could definitely take on a life of its own.
Yeah, I love it because I do own a publishing company. So yeah, and that all that you just said is what I did. So I was an English language arts teacher for many years. I was helping people to edit and ghostwriting for people and proofreading and all of that stuff. And when I decided to leave the classroom, I couldn't figure out what I was going to do with this English degree, you know? And people just kept asking. And sometimes that's why I just say all the time, you have to learn to listen. What are people asking you for on a consistent basis? And that may be where your business lies, you know?
Right. Yes.
So I started the publishing company. And when I'm coaching clients in that area, exactly what you just said is what I tell them, take this one book and create all these different lanes for yourself. Make the book the platform that you stand on. If you took the time to write it, especially if you're paying a ghostwriter thousands of dollars to write it, you better make that money back. You better make that money back. So you're paying me to write your book, but that's okay. If you pay me, say, $20,000, that book is potentially $1 million.
Right.
If you do it right. And we create marketing plans around it and everything. So I just love everything that you just said is spot on. And the other thing that you said that I love is that transition, taking those transferable skills. And I know that's your lane because HR always talks about what's your transferable skills, right? So when I was teaching, I didn't think I had transferable skills. I was like, how do I go from teaching? There's nothing else I can do, And I remember the special ed teacher in my classroom was a much older woman than I was. She was like 60 something at the time. She was like, "You're a dynamic young lady." You know what I mean? She said, "What do you mean you don't have transferable skills?" Because when I was thinking about leaving teaching, and she was like, "You can do this, you can do," and she opened my eyes to the things that I was doing in the classroom that could transfer outside of the classroom. And I was already grant writing. I was already working with nonprofit organizations. I was already doing the work as my side hustle. And she was like, "You could take that stuff and turn it into a full-time job for yourself." And I was like, "Really?
Yeah.
Is that possible?" I still could not see the bigger picture until I was forced because of an illness to decide to leave education. And I'm like, "Oh, what am I going to do now?" And I had to tap back into all those. And I realized I had a lot of skills, but we don't see it when we're working for an employer because we can become drone-like, just kind of processing whatever it is that they need us to do. And we don't realize all the other things that we have going on. So yeah, I absolutely love that. So guys, you need to get that book. You are in a place right now, which I know a lot of people are going to be, because we're not going to be in a situation post-COVID that we were in pre-COVID, where it was a dime a dozen to find an employee,
Right.
There are going to be a lot of people sitting on the unemployment lines as they are currently. A lot of people who are going to be sitting on after this because some employers just can't afford to bring back their full staff. Some places are just not going to be able to open up again. So you need to get that book and start thinking about your transferable skills. How are you going to take what you have currently and make it into something that can take you to the next level, or even book an appointment, a one-on-one consultation with Jacqueline to see if she can help you through that whole transition and open up your mind in order to make sure that you are not sitting on the unemployment line for the next 12 or whatever months, because I know that $600 is not going to last very long. That additional $600, they're already looking to do away with it. So yeah. So show the book again. Yeah, there you go. So you have the power. Okay. And I guess it's on your website, is it?
It is. Yes.
Okay. And her website is on the screen. It's lswmediagroup.com, lswmediagroup.com. So go ahead and get a copy of the book and make sure you reach out to her, because there's money out here to be made. We don't want to see you not make that money. Okay. So
Absolutely.
we took the book, we started the radio station, we started the TV station, and now we're into podcasting. And for those of you who don't know, podcasting is a big thing, right? I mean, there's millions, if not billions, of people who listen to podcasts every single day to and from work. That's the time when most people listen to podcasts is going to work, coming from work. And then on the weekends, they'll kind of like binge, like people binge Netflix, they'll binge podcasts. So podcast is a great way, especially if you're camera shy, to get your stuff out there. So tell us a little bit more about podcasting and how you help people produce their podcast.
Absolutely. So, actually started the podcast just about a year ago.
Okay.
At this point, so we're a year in. We're a year in, getting ready, and so the name of the podcast is Cast Iron Skillet Chronicles.
Oh.
And the way the the way the name came about, I was, I was, burning to get out there in podcasting, because I was like, I've researched several podcasts, but I'm not seeing anything for those of us that are of a certain age. And
Mhm.
so I was driving in the car with my husband, and he was like, well, what kinds of things will you be talking about? So we talked about that. We bantered that back and forth for a little while. And so then he said, well, somehow the cast iron came up, and
Mhm.
it was perfect. Cast iron is, for those of us that maybe grew up with our grandparents that had a cast iron skillet. We learned so many life lessons, and just spent a lot of time in the kitchen, and our grandparents, or maybe even our parents, cooked the majority of our meals in a cast iron skillet, and they were some of the most delicious meals that came out of that. But again, also those
Because
life
that pan was
lessons that were
seasoned.
learned, yes, in the kitchen. Definitely in the kitchen.
Mhm.
So that's where the name came from, but it's for my fierce fly and fabulous sisters over 40. So
Mhm.
again, getting into that mindset, it's not too late, but tomorrow is not promised. So stop waiting, get out there and get started now.
Mhm.
Like I said, if you've tried something before and it didn't work, try it again. Try something
Mhm.
else. Think
Mhm.
of what else is out there. What are you seeing in your community that may need to be addressed? What are you seeing in your own household? What are you seeing in your family that may need to be addressed, where
Mhm.
you could make a difference and an impact in doing that? So we talk about those different things on the podcast,
Mhm.
uh, and yeah, and right now, I occasionally I'll have guests. Right now it's typically just me having a conversation with my girlfriends from the
Mhm.
kitchen.
Mhm.
And because I remember my grandmother, girlfriends, they would come over, they'd have a cup of coffee, they'd sit in the kitchen
And
and
chit
talk
chat.
about and talk and cook, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
do those things. So
Oh,
it
nice.
was, yes, it was great. And so I also, again, produce a podcast for another individual,
Mhm.
who's got similar, talks about their self-limiting beliefs. So what that looks like is, again, back to that strategy. What is it that you're looking to convey? What is it that you're looking to accomplish with this particular podcast?
Mhm.
And so she goes out, she records her podcast, she sends the file over to me, I engineer it, get it all
Mhm.
organized, and publish it for her, and
Mhm.
broadcast it on the date and time that we've agreed to. And so she publishes her podcast on a regular basis. So
Nice, nice,
yes.
nice. And what does that kind of cost? Can anybody are you just working with people in the Houston area, or can anyone?
Oh no, anyone. And matter of
Okay.
fact, this one, well, I have one client in uh, on the West Coast. So she's in
California.
Arizona, California,
Okay.
Arizona, Nevada, somewhere on the Pacific time.
Yeah.
I know she's
Mhm.
on Pacific time
Mhm.
time frame. And then I do have someone in Houston. I also have someone in Atlanta that I'm talking to. So absolutely anyone
Okay.
all over the country, as long as you can send over the file and we can
Mhm.
have a conversation, and we can email, and we can, Facebook Messenger or
Mhm.
Telegram, or, text, then absolutely willing to
Okay.
work with anyone. Yeah.
Okay. And are you doing like the show notes and everything for them as well?
We do show notes. We do
Uh-huh.
some of the marketing and posting to social
Okay.
media to promote their podcast. Work with getting them exposure through other interviews and things of that nature, so that they can talk about what it is they do, talk about their podcast, and yeah.
Okay, so it's a complete service, almost like PR.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's different because most podcast producers just render down the podcast for you and make it sound really good, and then they give you back the file, and everything else is your responsibility. So
Mm-hmm.
this is an all-inclusive service, so that's really great. Um, so I know that you do a lot in the community. What kinds of community activities are you partaking in currently?
Well, excuse me. Currently, I am working on a program for grieving moms to help them get away, and actually started another podcast, gratitude, gratitude and grief. So often, what we do is in a number of areas of our business, we address taboo subjects that people, just generally don't like talking about or don't feel comfortable talking about.
Mhm.
We go in and address those and hit those head on. So, gratitude and grief really is my personal grief journal, and hopefully encouragement to moms who have been made to feel like they can't express their grief in any form. I just can't tell you the horrible things that people have been told when they're going through grief. And so just letting them know that what you feel is what you feel. Don't make any excuses for it, and just move forward. Do you, and above all else, be gentle with yourself, and
I
whatever that
talked
looks
about that
like.
on here a couple days ago. What happened with me when my daughter passed, and what I had to go through, and finding out. That's kind of what propelled me into nonprofit. Because I was trying to start a nonprofit organization for grieving moms, because no one wanted to talk about it. I had women around me that I knew for years, never knew they had miscarriages, never knew that they had stillbirths, because it happened to them and then they buried it along with their child,
Yep.
because no one wanted to talk to them about it. It was like, oh, why are you talking about that? Why are So,
Absolutely.
um, yeah, it's a subject that needs to be talked about on a regular basis. I celebrate my daughter's birthday every year. She's
Yes.
not here, and I don't care who thinks I'm crazy. I
Hmm.
write her a letter every year.
Yeah.
I have to. Everybody grieves in their own way, and we need to stop telling people to suppress their grief. I mean, I don't
Exactly.
share my grief openly all the time with people. It's my
Hmm.
grief. So I
Right.
don't need to plaster it all over social media or whatever. But again, everyone else is different. But
Yeah.
I have my own internal system of dealing with loss,
Yeah.
So I like
Absolutely. And
that.
so, one of the things that we're looking at is having a retreat where moms can go and just have that space where they know there are other women that have experienced a similar circumstance. And one of
Yeah.
the other things is that for a mother, losing a child is is first of all, having a child is a singular experience. So when you lose that child, or when that child is no longer here, there is absolutely no way anyone can understand the depths of that pain.
Yes.
You are the only one as a mother that felt that child move, that birthed that child, that nurtured that child. So, for people to say get over it, or, why are you still sad,
Mhm,
or what, I
mhm.
will be grieving. And again, like you said, maybe not openly, maybe I may not be crying, but my heart is absolutely shattered, and it will be for until I take my last breath.
Yeah.
So that's something that, it just,
Yeah.
people need to understand. But I also get that they don't understand, and you
Yeah.
can't understand
What you have
unless you
experienced.
ex- exactly.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Oh, that makes me very emotional. Um, yeah, that makes me very emotional, because that's the place that I come from too, and I'm just like, and afterwards I did understand why some women just don't talk about it, because you don't want to hear, oh, God knows best. Nobody
Hmm.
wants that. Stop telling people that. No one wants
Hmm.
to hear it. Um,
Yeah. Chantal, Carrie, Maria, Monty Warfield. I will, I've just recently gotten to the point to where I can actually say her name without
Mhm.
breaking down and crying. But just, saying her name, still makes her, and she will always be with me.
Mhm,
She'll always
mhm.
be alive in my heart, my thoughts. And so for me, I still say I have two children.
Yeah.
One just happens to be in heaven, but I still have two children.
Mhm, mhm. I agree. Oh, wow. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. So if you want to get involved in that program, and you know someone who has a child that has passed on for whatever reason, it doesn't matter whether it's a miscarriage or that child
Hmm.
was killed
Yeah.
accidentally or on purpose, the
Hmm.
person is still going through a grieving process.
Yes.
Reach out to Jacqueline and join that retreat. It's always good to be around other people who've experienced the same things that you have, just
Hmm.
to find comfort and to grieve in a way that you are not made to feel ashamed of. So, again, her website is here. It's LSW Media Group. But you can see she does more than just multimedia, being a multimedia strategist. She does have a multimedia strategy company that can help you with your podcasting and going live and using various forms of multimedia to get your business message out there. You can also email her at Jacqueline at lswmediagroup.com. I really am going to implore everyone who's listening to definitely reach out to her if you're thinking about transitioning out of your current employment,
Hmm.
and you're not exactly sure what your transferable skills are and how you can apply them into your new venture, or you're just exploring it because you're unsure of your employment at this point in time because of everything that we're going through. And if you're a grieving mom, again, reach out to her and join that retreat group. I'm telling you, it will change your life. I know, talking to other people when I had a similar experience, because no one experience is the same, but just other people who have lost a child
Hmm.
made a big difference for my healing process. And even for those who didn't experience losing a child, just the people who understood and was just there unconditionally, non-judgmental. They would just sit. If I didn't want to talk, they would just sit there with me, and say nothing. Or we watch the TV to get the program together, or they'll just sit and hug me, whatever it is. However you are going to get that support, you need the support.
Exactly.
So let's leave this on a higher note because I am getting super emotional and it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Um, so Jacqueline, if you had to leave our audience with 3 tips, tell us what those tips would be.
Absolutely, I'd be glad to. Pardon me. So, tip number one, again, is get started. Tomorrow is not promised, and waiting is not going to make it manifest at all if you don't get started. So, tip number one would be to get started. Do something, even if you don't know exactly what it is all going to look like. Get started with something. Matter of fact, Richard Branson said, opportunity favors the bold. If somebody offers you an amazing opportunity, but you're not sure you can do it, say yes,
Mhm.
then learn how to do it later. So get started, jump.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, yes. Sometimes we get stuck in analysis paralysis. And
No,
if
that's
you do
true.
that, you're not going to move forward. So just
Mhm,
go and get it done. And again, if it's something, especially if it's something that you ask God for. So
mhm.
if you ask God and He's
Oh
presenting
yeah.
this opportunity, please, don't hesitate, don't wait. Just get started and figure out the rest later. You will work harder for yourself than you will work harder for yourself than you will for anyone else, but it is
Mhm,
absolutely worth it.
mhm,
And oh, again, it doesn't have to be just one thing. So again, if there are multiple things that you are good at that you like doing, figure out how to craft those into a comprehensive business model that works for you, that resonates with your spirit, that helps you perform and further the mission that you have been destined to achieve, and again, walk in your God-given greatness.
Yes. Thank you, Jacqueline, for being with us here this morning on Morning Tea.
Thank you.
And everyone who watched today, thank you for being here with us on Morning Tea as well. And I will see you on Monday for another riveting episode of Morning Tea and
Yes.
a fabulous entrepreneur. Jacqueline, thank you again. You can
Thank
reach
you.
her again. I'm going to put up your information at lswmediagroup.com or Jacqueline at lswmediagroup.com. All right. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Here. Thank you.